On a sultry Friday evening in August 2018, the air crackled with excitement at Raines High School in Jacksonville, Florida. The stands were packed to capacity, a sea of blue and gray as the Raines Vikings prepared to face off against their crosstown rivals, the Lee Generals. Among the thousands in attendance was 19-year-old Julio Jamel Adams, a recent Raines graduate who had come to support his alma mater. As the game progressed, the Vikings took control, much to the delight of the home crowd. The atmosphere was electric, with students, parents, and community members cheering every play. For Joe Rod and his friends, it was a night of celebration and school pride. At 10:03 p.m., just as the crowds began to disperse, the victorious mood shattered like glass. The crack of gunshots pierced the night air, cutting through the chatter and laughter of departing fans. Panic erupted as people scrambled for cover, screams replacing cheers. In the chaos near the field house, 3 bodies fell to the ground. One of them was Joe Rod Adams. As sirens wailed in the distance, the scene devolved into pandemonium. Parents frantically searched for their children, students huddled in fear, and those lucky enough to be near exits fled into the night. Inside the stadium, an announcement crackled over the loudspeakers: lockdown. Those still inside the gates found themselves trapped, fear and confusion spreading like wildfire as rumors of what had happened outside began to circulate. Within minutes, squad cars and ambulances flooded the area. EMTs rushed to attend to the victims while police officers secured the perimeter, their faces grim as they surveyed the scene. Joe Rod Adams was quickly loaded into an ambulance, clinging to life as they sped towards the hospital. But it was too late. Joe Rod would not survive the night. 2 other victims, a 17-year-old Raines student and a 16-year-old Lee student hit by a stray bullet, were critically injured but would survive. In a nearby hospital waiting room, Joe Rod's family gathered, their world shattered by the news of his death. As dawn broke over Jacksonville, the community awoke to the news of the tragedy, grappling with yet another act of senseless violence. The seeds of vengeance. As the city mourned, investigators quickly determined that the shooting was gang-related. The incident at Raines High School was more than just another act of violence. It was a stark reminder of the ongoing gang conflicts plaguing the city. Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Waters would later describe the city's gang landscape as a patchwork of smaller, what we call hybrids, without major hierarchies. These loosely organized groups, often tied to specific neighborhoods, were locked in a deadly cycle of rivalry and retaliation. At the center of one of these conflicts was Charles Andrew Jones II, better known by his rap name Julio Foolio. Born on June 21, 1998, Foolio grew up in Jacksonville's Moncrief neighborhood, no stranger to violence. His own father had been murdered in a 2011 shooting, a tragedy that would shape the young man's life and art. By 2018, at just 20 years old, Foolio was a rising star in Jacksonville's rap scene, known for his affiliation with the 6 Block Gang and his provocative lyrics that often taunted rival groups. His growing fame was accompanied by an escalating war between 6 Block and other gangs like ATK, Ace's Top Killers, and 1200. Although Foolio had no direct connection to the shooting at Raines High School in the eyes of rival gang members, he became a symbol of everything they hated about 6 Block. His taunting lyrics and growing fame made him a high-profile target for their vengeful plans. The voice of vengeance. In the volatile world of Jacksonville's gang rivalries, Julio Foolio emerged not just as an extremely talented artist, but as a provocateur who weaponized his music and social media presence. His lyrics and online behavior went beyond the typical bravado of rap battles, delving into a darker realm of taunting and emotional manipulation that would have far-reaching consequences. Foolio's strategy was as brutal as it was effective. He didn't merely boast about his own prowess or his gang's strength. Instead, he deliberately targeted the raw, unhealed wounds of his rivals. His lyrics and social media posts frequently referenced deceased members of opposing gangs, not with respect, but with mockery and disdain. This wasn't just trash talk, it was a calculated effort to reopen emotional scars and provoke a visceral response. By invoking the names of the dead, Foolio forced his rivals to relive their losses repeatedly. Each song, each tweet, each Instagram post became a fresh assault on their grief. He transformed himself into a living, breathing reminder of their pain, a living representative of their trauma that they couldn't escape. Foolio's approach served multiple purposes. On one level, it was a form of psychological warfare, designed to unsettle and enrage his opponents. By keeping their emotions raw and their anger fresh, Foolio hoped to provoke them into making rash decisions that he could exploit. On another level, it was a way of building his own reputation as someone fearless and untouchable, willing to go where others wouldn't dare. However, this strategy came with a terrible cost. While Foolio may not have personally been responsible for the deaths he referenced, his words made him the focus of a swelling tide of grief, rage, and desire for vengeance. To the families and friends of those he mocked, the distinction between Foolio's words and the actual killings began to blur. He became the face of all their loss and pain, a symbol that needed to be destroyed to restore their sense of honor and bring them peace. This deliberate provocation created a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more Foolio taunted, the more his rivals felt compelled to retaliate. Each response, whether in music or in violence, only fueled Foolio to push further, creating a vicious cycle of escalation. He had become trapped in the persona he had created, unable to step back without losing face, yet each step forward brought him closer to the fate he seemed to taunt. A web of rivalries. As the years passed, tensions between the rival gangs continued to simmer. Members of the 1200 Out East gang, including Rashad Murphy, 30, Davon Murphy, 27, began to formulate a plan. They recruited Isaiah Chance, a 21-year-old with connections to both ATK and NHG, two other gangs with grievances against 6 Block. Isaiah was dating Alicia Andrews, a 21-year-old woman who had loose connections to Foolio's circle. This connection would prove crucial in the months to come. The group also brought in Shan Gathright, an 18-year-old eager to prove himself in the gang world. As they plotted, Foolio's star continued to rise. His music videos racked up millions of views on YouTube, and his provocative style gained him both fans and enemies. Unaware of the danger brewing, Foolio continued to move between Jacksonville and other cities, building his career and enjoying his newfound fame. The Birthday Bash. The Birthday Bash on June 21st, 2024 was a much-anticipated event. Julio Foolio, celebrating his 26th birthday, made a public announcement on Instagram revealing his plans for a grand celebration in Tampa. The day promised a mix of pool parties and a night out at the hottest clubs, drawing the attention of both fans and foes alike. As the day unfolded, Foolio and his entourage faced their first setback. The Airbnb they had rented was suddenly off limits, the group evicted for exceeding occupancy limits. With little time to dwell on the inconvenience, Foolio redirected the group to a pool party, shrugging off the disruption with his characteristic nonchalance. The day was filled with laughter, music, and a steady flow of social media updates, each post amplifying the excitement and unknowingly signaling his location to those with darker intentions. As night fell, the celebration shifted gears. The crew headed to Teaser's Gentlemen's Club, where Foolio was in his element. The bass throbbed through the club, his hits like When I See You and Crooks pulsating from the speakers, electrifying the atmosphere. Fans clamored for pictures, and drinks appeared as if by magic. Foolio basked in the glow of his hard-won fame, unaware of the danger lurking just outside. While the party raged inside, Isaiah Chance and Alicia Andrews arrived in a silver Chevy Cruze, parking discreetly at the edge of the lot. They scanned the scene with predatory focus, exchanging quiet words and keeping a close eye on Foolio's movements. Minutes later, a black Chevy Impala rolled up, carrying Shan Gathright and the Murphy brothers, Rashad and Davon. The group coordinated their approach, ensuring that Foolio and his entourage were never out of sight. As Foolio and his crew moved on to an after-party at Truth 18 nightclub, the atmosphere was charged with energy. The club was a swirling mass of bodies and beats, with Foolio standing at the center, the eye of this storm of celebration. Yet unknown to him, his enemies were drawing ever closer. Outside the club, Chance, Andrews, and the Murphy brothers monitored the scene, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Chance, seen frequently on his cell phone, coordinated their movements, ensuring they stayed one step behind their target without being detected. The night stretched on. As the first hints of dawn began to lighten the eastern sky, Foolio decided it was time to find a place to crash. Around 4 a.m., he slid into the passenger seat of a black Dodge Charger, part of a 3-car convoy. His friend Omerta took the wheel, and they set off for the Holiday Inn near the University of South Florida campus. The Holiday Inn loomed ahead, a promise of rest after a night of celebration. But as Foolio stepped into the lobby to check in, that promise evaporated. Despite his earlier reservation, there were no rooms available. Frustrated but undeterred, Foolio returned to the car. He and Omerta sat in the quiet, pre-dawn darkness, phones out, searching for another hotel. In those peaceful moments, as the first birds began their morning songs, death crept closer. 3 shadows detached themselves from the darkness of the parking lot. Shan Gathright, Rashad Murphy, and Davon Murphy approached the car, weapons in hand. At 4:38 a.m., the calm shattered, the air filled with the deafening crack of gunfire as bullets tore through metal and glass. Inside the car, Omerta reacted on pure instinct. He slammed the vehicle into drive, tires screeching as he fought for control. The Charger lurched forward, scraping against the curb before finding purchase on the asphalt. But it was too late for Foolio. As the car sped away from the chaos, his life ebbed away in the passenger seat. The birthday that had started with such promise now ended in tragedy. The final verses of his live song cut short in a hail of bullets. In the chaotic aftermath, Omerta, bleeding and disoriented, managed to guide the bullet-riddled car to the nearby Holiday Inn. The once bustling lobby stood empty, indifferent to the drama unfolding in its parking lot. Help, when it came, arrived with flashing lights and wailing sirens, but for Julio Foolio, it was already too late. The investigation begins. In the days that followed, Tampa became the center of a major police investigation. Detectives worked tirelessly, piecing together evidence from surveillance footage, license plate readers, and phone logs. They traced the movements of the suspects, unraveling the complex web of connections that had led to this violent end. A breakthrough came when Shan Gathright was pulled over on June 26. In his car, police found a Glock 9mm pistol and rifle casings that would later be linked to the crime scene, and 2 previous shootings, including an earlier attempt on Foolio's life in October 2023. As investigators dug deeper, they discovered a wealth of evidence. Surveillance footage from multiple locations showed the suspects following Foolio throughout the night. License plate reader data tracked the suspects' vehicles from Jacksonville to Tampa and back. Cell phone records placed the suspects at key locations and revealed their communications. A search of Gathwright's home revealed a gun safe with multiple rifles, at least one equipped with a brass catcher, explaining why no rifle casings were found at the scene. Video footage showed the suspects loading bags big enough to carry rifles into the Impala before the trip. Ring camera footage captured all 5 suspects at the Tampa Airbnb. Perhaps most damning was a text message allegedly sent by Rashad Murphy after the murder. "I'm coming home, my thirst is quenched. Pop a bottle of Don Julio today, Murphy." This phrase, investigators learned, was known among Jacksonville gang members as a direct insult to Foolio. Justice closes in. On July 29, 2024, just over a month after the shooting, Tampa Police Chief Lee Burkall, alongside Jacksonville Sheriff T.K. Waters and Hillsborough State Attorney Susie Lopez, held a press conference. They announced the arrest of 5 suspects: Shan Gathright, 18, Alicia Andrews, 21, Isaiah Chance, 21, Rashad Murphy, 30, and Davon Murphy, 27. All 5 were charged with first-degree premeditated murder and conspiracy to commit murder. The arrests were the result of a complex, multi-jurisdictional investigation that had unraveled the web of connections leading from Jacksonville to Tampa. As Chief Burkall detailed the evidence against the suspects, the full scope of the tragedy came into focus: a talented artist cut down in his prime, and 5 young lives now facing the prospect of life behind bars. Reflections on a tragedy. Syria Mays, Julio Foolio's mother, made the solemn journey from Jacksonville to Tampa upon hearing of the arrests. At the press conference, her presence was a stark reminder of the human cost behind the headlines. With a voice laden with grief and determination, Syria spoke of her son's passion for music, which had been a part of his life since childhood. She emphasized that Charles, as she knew him, was more than just the drill rapper Julio Foolio. He was a versatile artist whose broader talents were often overshadowed by the genre that brought him fame. As she distanced herself and her family from the culture of violence that had claimed her son's life, stressing that such behavior was never condoned in their home. Her background as a nurse and her efforts to help others in her community stood in sharp contrast to the violent world that had enveloped her son. With tears threatening to spill, she made a heartfelt plea for an end to the cycle of violence plaguing their city. As the community grappled with this latest tragedy, questions lingered. How many more talented young lives would be lost to gang violence? Could the cycle of revenge and retaliation ever truly be broken? In Jacksonville, community organizations like I Care were already calling for the implementation of group violence intervention programs, seeking to break the cycle of retaliation that had claimed so many lives. From the fateful shooting at a high school football game in 2018 to the calculated murder of a rising rap star in 2024, the story of Julio Foolio served as a cautionary tale, a tragedy born from a toxic mix of street rivalries, social media, and the unforgiving nature of gang life in America's cities. As the case moved towards trial, many hoped that this shocking event might finally be the catalyst for real change in Jacksonville and beyond.
From the south to the west, east to the north, every corner got a tale, every hood got sauce. It's the Hood History Club, the other channel's born. It's the Hood History Club, every hood got a story.
It's the Hood History Club, we narrate the blocks. We black and we from here, we not trapped, Lord Ross. From the south to the west, east to the north, every corner got a tale, every hood got sauce. It's the Hood History Club, the other channel's born. It's the Hood History Club, every hood got a story.
Let's go!
This is Julio's story. Julio, this night was his last. This here what happened the night that he passed. Rest in peace to a man who wasn't afraid to die. Rest up, and nothing that I'm about to say is lies. This is Julio's story. Julio's story. We all are for it. I thought money meant to know this. They bet out we a bad no. Better than your bad no. It was lit that night. We were all in high spirits. Tried to warn me I was tweaking, but I wasn't trying to hear it. Airbnb lit, but they say we gotta go. We bout to party somewhere else. DM me for the low. I'm drunk and I don't even drink. I'm so loose I can barely think. At the Holiday Inn, get it in. Black called me and 3 of my friends. Oh what is this? Driver hit. Age spitting flames, bullets found me quick. I got no one else to blame. Bullets hit my body, breath getting thin, light flashing by, thinking of my kin. Last breath coming, heart beating slow, eyes getting heavy, life letting go. Last breath coming, heart beating slow, eyes getting heavy, life letting go.
Thank you for tuning in to Hood History Club. If you found today's content insightful and engaging, please show your support by hitting the like button and subscribing to our channel. As a new YouTube channel, every like, subscribe, and share helps us grow and continue to bring you more compelling stories and deep dives into the complex narratives that shape our communities. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss out on our latest videos. Thank you for being a part of the Hood History Club, where history is not just told but felt and understood. See you in the next video.